And then the other thing is, let's see if I can show you. They have this really sweet, neat thing called, let me turn the camera the other way and I'll make a new video. It's called the Storybook Trail. Welcome to the Storybook Trail, exploring nature. That's what made me think of the Baal Shem Tov. Exploring nature and imagination. And you know what they do? They have this cool trail that you can go, and it's a story. It's like reading a book. You remember we made also a story for Purim that you sent me the pictures and I put on YouTube reading it. So if you want, I can try to tell you the story. The story is called Violet the Pilot by Steve Breen. And you see, you go to the first place. This is where the story starts. You see? I can read it to you. It goes like this. Everyone in town knew that Violet Van Winkle was a little different. For starters, she and her parents lived in an odd-looking house next to the junkyard her father managed. And while other girls were playing with dolls and tea sets, Violet was played with monkey wrenches and needle nose pliers. See? And what did she do? Number 2, Violet was a mechanical genius. By the time she was 2, she could fix almost any broken appliance in the house. By 4, she could take apart the grandfather clock and completely reassemble it. You see, that's what she's doing. She took apart this clock. It's called a grandfather clock, a special clock. Since she didn't have any friends, aside from her dog, Orville, that's the dog, she would spend hours tinkering with things in the yard, which is what she's doing here. Violet's parents were very proud of her, although they were not too happy the time that she put a lawnmower engine on her cousin's tricycle. You see, it was a tricycle and she put a lawnmower engine. Okay, going on to the next page. This is it. Number 3. The older she got, the more interesting Violet's creations became. Around the time she turned 8, she was building elaborate machines from scratch. Not just any old machines. See, she's building all these things. She built flying machines. She took this truck. She made this little airplane. Her parents couldn't believe their eyes when they saw Violet zoom by for the first time. They were a little worried in the beginning, but they quickly saw that she was a pretty good pilot. "Careful not to hit the house," Violet's father would yell. "And put on a sweater," her mother would add. Violet used anything she could find in a junkyard to make her wonderful contraptions. This is a contraption, something she put together. Going on to the next one. Here we come. Number 5. There was a tub bubbler. She made a tub bubbler. See, it's bubbles. She's sitting in a bathtub and it flies up. And there was the bicycopter. It's like a bicycle and a helicopter together. She's flying. And then there was the rocket can. She took a trash can, she made it into a rocket that flies up. And there was the pogo plane. And there was the slide glider, which she would get up on the slide. She had a glider that she could fly with it. But it's very dangerous. If you don't have a glider, it's very dangerous to jump without it. And there was the wing-a-majig, to name a few. She had this wing-a-majig. She's flying. Hey. Then, number 7. Violet's engineering was pretty sound. The only real hazards were tall trees. See, she's flying above the trees. Piles of junk in the yard. And bugs in her teeth. See, she has bugs. kids at school would see Violet eating lunch alone and make fun of her strange books and greasy coveralls. Don't see it, but she's wearing coveralls. Claude and Clyde Mulrooney were especially obnoxious. They used to make fun of her. Going to the next page. Page 9. Then one day, Violet noticed a poster in a drugstore window that said Air Show October 20th. It read, "That's only 2 weeks away," Violet thought. "Can kids fly in the show? Is homemade craft allowed?" That night, Violet sat in her room thinking about the air show. She knew it would be a good feeling if one of her planes won a prize. So she wanted to go in the competition. And maybe then the kids at school would be nice to her. Violet pictured exactly where she would hang her blue ribbon if she won. She imagined she would put it right here in her bed. So, she and Orville spent the next few days combing the junkyard for just the right materials. And when they had collected a giant pile of stuff, the building began. One day, the Mulrooney twins happened to pass by. You know what they did? "Look, it's that girl from school," one of them said. "What are you doing, weirdo?" "I'm building an airplane," she told them. The twins exploded in laughter, then mumbled something mean as they walked away. Orville barked at the boys, but Violet just went back to her project. "Take it easy, buddy," she said. "We're too busy to worry about them." And we'll go to the next one. The video stopped on the phone, but let's continue. So now we're at 11. And you know what happened? Finally, after days of hard work, Violet had finished making her flying machine. This is the flying machine that she made. And she named the magnificent new craft the Hornet. She wrote it here, the Hornet. She gave this is the name she gave. And she thought to herself, "Wait till the people in the grandstands see me flying this." Violet said to Orville, this is the dog Orville, he's taking a picture of her, so she told him, "Wow, everybody's going to like it when I fly this." And the test flight was a success. She went this way, and she went this way, upside down, and she went this way, and she went this way. You could go like this, and 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 like this. And she flew it up in the sky. Let's go to the next page. I'm gonna walk over here. Then, 13. On the day of the big air show, Violet took off, bursting with excitement. See, she's taking off, she's going in the air. And her parents' faces had beamed with pride when they wished her luck. And she thought about that, about her parents beaming with pride, as she flew through the clean autumn sky. She's flying in the sky. She calculated that the trip would take about 20 minutes. She would arrive just in time for the start of the show. Do you know what happened? In 14, she was flying over here, and look what she saw. Suddenly, something caught Violet's eye. In the river below, a group of people were waving frantically, "Help! Help! Help!" Violet lowered her altitude, meaning she went down in the sky, to get a better look. A troop of Boy Scouts had run into trouble while canoeing. They were in the canoe and it flipped, and now they're in the water. Violet knew she had to help fast. We'll go to the next page. You know what that's called? It's called Ashgacha Pratis. Hashem sometimes brings a person to a place because they have special something to do there. So she was flying right when she saw them. And it wasn't easy rescuing all the boys, but Violet piloted the Hornet with careful precision. See, she gave him this, and they went into it, and then she pulled them up, and another person went into it, and they're all in her Hornet in the airplane. Saving the Scoutmaster from getting over the falls were particularly dangerous. He was in the waterfall. And then, 16, Violet dropped the Grateful Scouts off at the hospital because they needed to go to the hospital because of what happened to them. And then she checked her watch to see what time it is, and it said 3:30. She said to Orville sadly. Why was she sad? Because we've missed the air show. She was too late. She turned her plane around home and sighed. It was a miserable feeling. Because she saved all these people, she was late and she missed the air show. But that was the Shkacha Pratis. That's what Hashem wanted her to do. So he made her see it. That evening, Violet had no appetite for dinner. She didn't want to eat. She wasn't hungry. She just went upstairs and sat in her bed. All of a sudden, she heard lots of noise outside the house. She and Orville went to the window and discovered that a crowd of people had gathered. Somebody spotted her. "There is Violet!" the boy shouted jubilantly. "There is our hero!" Everybody came to outside her house. She's in the bed. And they said, she's our hero. You know why she's here? Because she saved their life. The Van Winkles stepped outside. Right? They went outside the house. Squinting from all the flash bulbs that were popping. Because people were taking pictures, so there was flash. Strong light. The press, which is the newspapers, and the mayor, and the fire, and the police chief. It's them. Even kids and teachers from school had all learned of the rescue that day and had come to praise her. And then the mayor told her, "Young lady, please accept this medal of valor as a token of our gratitude and esteem," said the mayor. And he gave the Orville, the dog, a new collar with a license that read K9 Hero. K9 is the name of a dog, type of dog. So he gave her the medal, and he gave even the dog a new collar that said K9 Hero. You know why? Because of what they did. Now I think this is the last page. From that day on, Violet's parents let her fly whenever she wanted. Here she's flying. But her mom still made her wear a sweater. The end. And that's the special. What is it called? This really neat idea. The Storybook Trail. We went through all of these pages and we saw everything. I hope you like the story. And we should think of what other stories we should try to put on YouTube, reading a story. Mwah.